Alright, and I think we're live. Hello everyone, how's it going? This is Coddle Guy, this is my first vlog. And if I ever wanted to do one, I guess now would be the best time. Because I've just finished Frankfurt, it's fresh on my mind. And I figure while it's so fresh, I can just kind of yap a bit about it. Gotta remember, for me, it's been a long month. Frankfurt is the end of what feels like the craziest Dota circuit of my life. Which, if I wanted to... I should have started the vlog time way back after ESL 1, because it went ESL 1 to MLG to Nanyang to finish up at Frankfurt Major. So that was me fresh from moving, and I already had to just start going crazy on this travel. Obviously some of it within the United States, but it's still me leaving home, which is kind of rough. So, went to New York City. Right after I moved from New York City, I've been living there for fucking 5-6 years. And the first ESL New York I didn't even go to, because that's one of the first times I traveled to BTS. So finally, ESL New York comes back, but it comes like a week right after I leave New York City to move to California. So I had to come back, and it was crazy. I don't want to go too much into those events and everything. I was just giving you an idea that I just finished doing all that, and then I had to travel yet again after Nanyang to now do the Frankfurt Major. Obviously super blessed, or whatever, happy that I got the invite. Obviously it's ESL that put on the major, so they had a lot of influence with the talent and stuff, and it was after ESL 1 New York that I got the news that I would be doing the major. So I'm very happy that I took that opportunity to do ESL 1 New York, so that, you know, I can make that work. And then MLG, I also figured I just wanted to take all these opportunities while I could to put myself out there and hopefully get a good spot on the ever climbing pedestal that everyone wants to be a part of. You know, they want to get on the pedestal, or, well, I'm saying pedestal, but I think I mean like totem pole. Get on the totem pole and just stack your stuff up and hope that you can, I don't know, be in the grind like that, I guess. But it worked to my benefit. I got the invite for the major, and I was very happy about it. And it was stage hosting. I already knew the details of it. I would be doing a little bit of group stage casting, and then do stage hosting, which I assume was pretty much what I did at ESL 1 New York, which is go up on stage and hype up some stuff, and ladder. Yeah, sorry Rubik, thank you for that, by the way. Climbing up that ladder, pedestal. What the hell's wrong with me? Anyway, so I was hosting. I was just pretty much doing interviews and maybe hyping up the games to come out. Which to me isn't too difficult, because I already have a background in doing stage and theater. So going up on stage and putting myself out there in front of people isn't too crazy for me. But this isn't a stage and theater audience. This is a Dota gaming audience. So they could look at someone doing this stuff on stage, and it can go cringy real fast for some people, you know? And it's very scary, you know? Even for someone like me who can be a bit experienced with doing stuff on stage, it can be scary, man. You're very vulnerable. You're putting yourself out there in hopes that when you hype up this Dota game, that people are going to be all about it. Because to the rest of the world, if I was to go up and be like, let's get hype about Dota, they'd be like, what the hell's wrong with this guy? What a weirdo. So it's scary still, you know? But luckily, for the most part, people responded well and made me feel good, and I got to bounce back a lot of the, I don't know, hype that they were sending my way. So it's been going really well there. And it's obvious that there's not very many people in Dota who do something like that, or have the capability, I guess, to kind of just go up on stage and put yourself out there and genuinely be excited about something. So I understand it's a niche thing. And I was excited about doing it. So, travel to the Frankfurt Major. From where I am, it is a 10-hour flight plus an extra 1-hour flight. Wanted to go, you know, obviously all the way to Frankfurt with 1 mild stop because we don't want to go to LAX. It's a far fucking drive, and the thought of coming back home and then going to LAX in a terrible airport that's big and then you have to get to your car in the parking garage and then you have to drive the 2 hours and hope to God you're in a good timing window so there's not serious traffic. Oh man, that's terrible. So this time we were like, let's do Ontario, and it worked out well. It's like 15 hours of travel with a minor bit of layover time, but still a long day of travel. And now I'm definitely a sweatpants travel guy. I've discovered that it's the most comfy way. I don't know why I kept wearing jeans on a plane. That's terrible, and I already feel uncomfortable thinking about that. So sweatpants. I don't care about how I look. I'm traveling. I know there was a day way back when people would wear suits when they got on planes, but like now I just want to feel as comfortable as possible, especially if I'm going to be on that plane for the whole day. So sweatpants it is. Had some good entertainment, made it through the travel well, and all was well. We got there. Already, though, we have a small hiccup. Now, I'm traveling with me, Brian, K-Poptosis, David, LD, and Ben, Mr. Merlini. And a little bit of hiccup when we get there. You know, no one's there to welcome us usually. Like in TI, there's a guy there, and they're holding the sign, Valve or TI Major, or, International. And you're like, sweet. They find you, you get in your car, and they shuttle you to the airport. I'm not paying attention to the game at all that's happening in the background, by the way, so I'm just trying my best to look over some of these notes and not get too distracted, but as you can see, it still happens. Anyways, no one's there to greet us, so we're kind of like, where are we going, what are we doing, where's our hotels, blah, 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 and we have to get in touch with Kennegat a bit, but ultimately he figures out what's the deal, and we wait a bit extra, and then a gentleman finally comes over. This guy looks like a serious stoner hippie, but he said he was there with the sign. We all didn't see him there, but doesn't matter. In the end, he gets to us, and we're going to be on our way towards the life at the Major here. So he walks us over to the Sheraton Hotel, which is connected to the airport, Brian's staying at the Sheraton Hotel, but for the rest of us, myself, Ben, and David, we're staying apparently at the Novotel. So this is not our hotel, and we tell him this, and he's like, oh, well, okay, we'll figure out a driver, whatever. Eventually, we're very tired. We've been traveling all fucking day, like the 15 hours, so we're just going to get a cab, and we just get a cab, and we'll add it to the invoice, and we'll be on our way. We go to Novotel. So, as you can tell, half of us are split up into two hotels. There is a Novotel group, and there is a Sheraton group, which eventually become the Novo Shits and the Shera Shits, because, talent split. There's always like fun banter between the two of them, and more importantly, we notice that there is a big difference between these two hotels. One hotel is much better than the other. Oh my God. The Sheraton Hotel is pretty nice. It's actually more like a normal hotel. It's obviously like an airline or flight hotel. It's got a couple of bars, a couple of restaurants or whatever, and they get their meals and they have their midnight snack. And Novotel doesn't have much of that. So let's check it out a bit. Hotel differences, Novo Shits and Shera Shits here. The Novotel, which we stayed at for the first week, is a bit small. Now, I want to precaution all this by saying it's hard when you want to try to nitpick about stuff, because we obviously are very thankful that we have been given this opportunity and that they have provided us with the hotel. And frickin' Frankfurt, it's amazing. I love it to death. But can't help but feel like there's a little bit of a stink when half of the people are obviously getting a much better setup than the other, and it's the stuff that we agreed on, with the whole thing, so it's obviously a bit awkward. Still, in the end, very happy and thankful that we got to go to Frankfurt and do this whole thing. But let's talk a bit about the differences between the two hotels here. Us noob shits, Nova shits, we're staying in a smaller hotel. The staff is a bit firmer, I'll say. They're a bit more stiff, and might go as far to say could be rude at times. One simple, nice little hotel bar, and one nice little restaurant where we went to get our breakfast, which the breakfast was actually decent. I would rate it decent. You got your eggs, you got your bacon, orange juice, that's good enough for me. No midnight snack, though. No midnight snack. That is an important meal because usually we get stuck eating dinner very early, go through a full work day, and then usually it's a nice, quick, late-time snack, go to bed thing. But we didn't have that at our hotel, so many times we came home very hungry, little options, except for maybe you do room service, but you know, I'm a bit more frugal, I guess. I don't like to throw all my money into fucking room service and stuff. I'm a simple man. I can go and get a quick sandwich or something, but there were not very many close options that we wanted to investigate. So, also didn't have an iron in the room. Wi-Fi, of course, is a bit blah, whatever. You know, we're just happy to have all this stuff. But apparently there's been problems with some of the rooms. The AC unit wasn't working at our hotel, so it was really hot, and you were forced to open the window. For some people who are not so fortunate, their window would be next to a train, so at night the train would be going crazy. So you have people who are kind of getting sick or not feeling well because the air is not working properly. This is an epic battle happening right now. What the hell? Jesus Christ. All right. This Queen of Pain just beat ass. People are experiencing even a bit worse. I didn't have too many of these problems. I'm okay with the air. I don't mind warmer air. You know, I don't like to be in the freezing cold. I wasn't near a train, and it was whatever. My bed was actually a decent size. I heard a lot about Europe beds, and they're like this big. Like, no, they're not. They're like that big. Whatever. And apparently one of the guys' room smelled like sewage. So one person has it so bad they're at a hotel it smells like sewage, air doesn't work, loud outside, and then you have someone on the other side who has a Sheraton hotel, good room, decent Wi-Fi, midnight snack, blah blah blah. So you're gonna get miffed over the coming days. People are also tweeting about how wonderful their midnight snack was. Buffalo wings and crisscross fries, and I'm over here like, what the fuck? I don't have that. I don't have any midnight snack. So over the days, you're just kind of get a bit more salty. It was to the point that someone had to encourage the Sheraton people to not tweet food pictures because it's starting to piss off the Novotel people a bit. Anyways, in the end, moving forward after a week, after Newbie Young and Newbie get eliminated, they are out of the tournament and they do decide to leave. The rooms open up and we get to all join together in one big happy family. So it all worked out in the end. If I was stuck in the Novotel to begin with all the way through, I think I would have survived. It's a bit more difficult for some of the others. Again, whatever. Nice hotel in the end, and we were with everyone, and we got our snack. It was great. It was great. All right, so yeah, in the end, I just said just happy to have a good hotel provided with food there in the end. Oh, but the one thing was that this Sheraton, the only thing that Novotel did have going for it is that it was really close to the venue, like 5 to 7 minutes close. So our shuttle ride, we could even walk. That was nice. The Sheraton Hotel is connected to the airport, which has its own benefits, but is like 15 to 20 minutes away. But the nice thing in the end is that I just had to walk downstairs, and we were at the airport, and that worked out well. Very cool. Shuttle dudes, the guys who drive the shuttle are all pretty nice. Pretty chill. We would shoot the shit with them sometimes. Very cool people. Wouldn't mind that at the most crucial points at the end of the day, work days or whatever, you know, that they had a ton of shuttle cars but not enough drivers, so we were kind of waiting around. And Germany this time of year, the weather is kind of poop, at least compared to California. It's a bit wet and rainy, so waiting out wet and rainy kind of sucks a bit, so it is what it is, but drivers were cool people. We had a good time. And at the start, it was Novo shits waiting for their Novo Hotel shuttle, and then the Share shits waiting for theirs as well. But in the end, pretty neat. Let's move forward here. Group stages. All right. The complex where we had to go and do the casting and everything like that was crazy. It was big. It looked like a freaking jail. And on the first night, I remember myself, David, LD, Red Eye, and was anyone else with us? Oh yeah, and Ben, or Knoxville. We're walking out. We figured out we could just walk back to our hotel after the first day of work, and we tried to walk out, and we could not find our way out of this freaking complex. And it was dark and late, and we were like, maybe down that way there's a gate, and we go all the way down this alley where we could, you know, get lost or get killed, and couldn't find the way out. We were walking around for 15 minutes, walked over like 2 miles, it felt, just to find the way out from this freaking complex. It's so crazy. And finally we managed to stay alive by eating a squirrel, and we made our way back and ultimately found our way out. Never doing that again, so we shuttled our way in and out. What's up, Odie? So we never tried to walk out from that complex again because it was like a jail, and we used the shuttle from there on out. Anyways, Cool, chill viewing setup. If I was really high production right now, I would throw pictures that I maybe had taken on, but this is just like a rough vlog, so I didn't do it. And I'm sure you can find people who posted pictures. I think Slacks did like a tour of the group stage area. Cool viewing area, beanbags to chill on a bit, and then bunch of fucking cubicles all over the place. Cubicles all over the frickin' place, you know, for different casting rooms. The main casting room, the secondary casting room. Awesome looking panels out front set up. Main caster channels had panels, and there were setups for English, Russia, and China. We were all there in harmony, making it all work through the magic of translators. And then obviously all the teams had all their cool practice rooms, and all the front doors had cool chalkboard things. They would write their names on it, and sometimes people would fuck with each other's or whatever. And it was pretty cool. So teams had an area to practice in. I can't speak for the teams on how their setup was compared to other ones. I'm sure they could do their own vlogs. I'm sure a certain Envy or someone out there will do a blog about it. I don't know. From my perspective, I saw they each had setups, and for the most part, they look pretty good. Maybe they'll have a different story. I don't know. I'm here to talk about my experience and what the hell I was doing. So we find the setups. They look kind of neat, whatever. Everything looks cool. Every day they serve food. The food is hit or miss. I'm sorry, Germany, but all the food we had was not so good. And I had a bad impression about German food, to be honest with you. But I didn't get the opportunity to really try a nice bratwurst or a schnitzel or anything like that, which is what I hear. You know, I hear that's the best. We never really got that. I got like crazy white meatballs of carrot vegetable sloth stew. I don't really know. The food wasn't for me. But the best thing about this is that outside of the big jail, if you find your way out, which we ultimately found a decent way to get out, but there was never really a good clear-cut way to get in and out of this complex. Across the street is a mall, and in that mall, believe it or not, is a Chipotle. There is a Chipotle, and there is also a McDonald's to get us away from the German food when necessary. In the end, I had Chipotle 5 days straight, all right? And I'm not the only person. There was a good amount of people there who had Chipotle many times straight. Not just me, all right? And that Chipotle was like 75% as good as a normal American Chipotle. I'm sorry, all right? I'm a very particular kind of eater in what I like to eat. I'm very plain Jane. I'm a simple man. So I'm sorry if I didn't find this delicacy here, the white meatball there, the fucking what the hell is that thing good? That's just how I go. And for most other events, the catered food is a bit more universal, unless you're like lavish like TI or something. So I'm sorry. But don't worry, I went out on my own dollar and I got Chipotle for myself, and I was happy with that. I'm not going to invoice for it or anything. I'm happy to invest in my own Chipotle, and it was delicious, and very much diarrhea was had. No, I'm kidding. But whatever. For everyone else, maybe some of them did enjoy the food. That's fine. By the way, guys, any questions? I guess if you really were curious, you can ask me at the end. Food, okay. Chipotle, and yeah. I had a lot of Chipotle. I won't have it again for a long time. Okay. Casting setup. Now, I knew I was going to be stage host, but I also knew I was going to be doing group stage casting. Schedule comes out, I'm doing 2 BO3s. First reaction, of course, I'm a bit bummed. I love casting. Of doing everything, I think I enjoy doing casting the most. I have the most fun doing it, and there's always work to be done as far as improving, and I just like it a lot. You get a front row seat to some amazing Dota. So I generally like casting. So when I saw only 2 best of 3s, I was like, but it's fine. I wasn't going to be casting when I came to the event. I'm not a caster at the event. I'm a stage host. So to get the bit of casting, I was happy. I also knew I was going to be getting a 1-panel appearance for a match. I just wanted to know ahead of time what it was. So cool. Stage host, but I also get to cast a bit and have a panel appearance. So neat. That's extra. That's awesome of ESL / the talent hiring crew. You know, I'm not gonna like try to point out any direct names in case I say one wrong. So the ESL talent people, very nice that I got to do the extra little bits on top of the stage hosting, which I'll go into more later. Anyways, so first day of actual group stage action, I'm doing the very first cast on the second stream. All right, cool. Go check out the setup. And we got 3 setups pretty much. And we were talking about the day before how we were going to have our own dedicated OBS in the secondary stream. Which, hey, that's great. I love it. Dedicated OBS. No one has to worry about my camera because I know that my camera is probably like a C+, maybe a C-. I don't know. I get it. Camera is hard, all right? You guys saw the missed kills also at... I don't mean to call out my boys, Wepaz, Scriff, and Pimp, you know, to say they're bad or anything. They're not, but that just goes to show that even they miss kills, and there's freaking 3 of them. Usually it's just 2 on the main stage, you know, but it happens. Dota's a crazy game. Sometimes stuff goes down and you're just not going to see it. It's even harder for the casters who have to do it and their own camera. And production probably as well. It's rough. So I'm happy when an OBS is there because it's one less thing for me to have to think about, and I can fill that spot instead with thinking about the game and watching the game and casting it. So that's great. Sadly, though, what I came to realize and find out is that I will be doing the production as well for stream, the second stream. But not just me, whoever is casting that spot. So my initial reaction is like, oh, what? I just want to cast. I don't want to have to do other things. It ended up working out not too bad, but I'm looking at this and I'm like, you mean I have to do the audio board and the XSplit and do the cast and everything? I just want to cast. I want to focus on the casting. Why am I also having to be the producer and stuff? I thought someone was going to be set up to do that. I know how to do it. I'm happy to do it. I've been doing it. I do it more often when I cast than when I don't. You know, all those like qualifier runs and everything, I'm working the production usually in addition to casting, but this is the major, so whatever. As it turns out, I had to set it up. Shoutouts to OD if you're still here. OD apparently is very, very good with the audio. I heard about it a bit. I got to see it firsthand. Very cool guy, and with the power of me and OD and Purge and Wepas there, we got Dota 2 put on the computer. That's right, Dota 2 was not even on the computer. We put Dota 2 on that computer, Windows 10 computer, and we set it up, and we got XSplit on there, or actually, to the credit, XSplit was already on there. That was it, not even Dota. And we got the one, we had to ask around. We got Tom, shouts to Tom. He ran around all day on the group stage, especially throughout the whole event. He got us the USB drive to get the one extra overlay set up. So whatever, we ended up making the setup. It was just, you know, 2 scenes of XSplit where it's in the game and not in the game on a splash screen. Very basic setup. So you're like, oh, secondary stream ended up turning to an external setup that was internal, while the first stream had a nice lavish panel with the camera shot. So You probably saw it if you saw any of the mainstream games. They had the nicer panel, like usually Toby Sind or LD or whatever. They had a nice panel. Obviously, that setup got the love. Obviously, it was all about the main setup. Setup 2 was just like a very nice external setup being internal, you know. And we did pretty much the same thing that the other locations did. The Andrew Draskell setup and the God's Winter setup, where they did 2 best of 3s also. They did 2 best of 3s as well in the end. So I pretty much did what they did, but I did it at Frankfurt, if you want to look at it like that. But they probably had better production, so who knows. But we had an OBS. I was happy about that. Did my first cast with Purge, and my second cast I got to do with Ben, with Merlini. So I was really, I'm happy to cast with both of them. I thought Purge did an amazing job at this event. I think I mean, who am I to say how good he is or not good he is? He's better than I am. But I felt like this event, he did some of his best work so far, and I feel like his personal stock should rise from it, and he deserves it because he really wants to do it, and he took any opportunity to be up there to get it done. And I have to say, initially when I first saw that I was casting with them, I was a little like, because you get that feeling you've never really casted. I haven't casted with Kevin since TI, so since then I've casted with everyone else from BTS. And now I'm going to be casting with someone I haven't cast with since TI. And you're kind of like, ooh, I kind of hope the chemistry's still going to be there, and I hope it's going to still work out. But I at least I saw that I was going to be casting with Ben or Merlini in my second series. So I was happy about that. Ended up working out great. I love my cast with Kevin. And actually, We ended up casting the longest game in the whole major. I'm not going to show too much of it, but it was the... I'm totally like taking this guy's joke of a highlight channel, I guess. Virtus Pro versus Newbie, which was the very first series that I got to cast. And it was pretty good. It was...
To clean it up. Finding him.
You know, this thing has like shoddy audio because he recorded it from inside the game.
Looks like he's gonna connect regardless on the move. Charge on 4. He's got the grave. But
it was fun.
Nonetheless.
Game number 2 though. Game number 2. Virtus Pro was pretty dominant all the way, but for some reason, you know, they just couldn't seem to end it. They couldn't close it out. So Newbie held on. How in particular and his Ember Spirit, they just kept slaying, and Virtus Pro kept trying to end this fucking game, but they just couldn't end it. And it went on forever, man. It was like 80 minutes, and I liked it. It was a long game. I got a nice long game. For one of the few casts I got, it was a long, nice game. I was super happy about it, and I didn't want to let my energy drop at all. I wanted to still be in the game. I never got bored. I never tried to wait it out. I was happy just to have a long game, you know? It was fun. So I stuttered a bit right there. I won't even say it was my best cast. I mean maybe like a C+. And this guy's audio, the Dota TV audio apparently was not good. Apparently Dota TV audio also sucked, so that doesn't help anything.
He's not going to stop. Just putting in trouble.
But this thing goes on for 80 some odd minutes. Yeah, Purge does often do long games. Hey, look how terrible the audio ends up in this video. Anyways, long game. And if you want to check out that game, oh shit, big fight breaking out in this game. Dang, this Queen of Pain has been doing work. Alright, that game was great. If you want to watch that series, it's Virtus Pro versus Newbie. Second series I did with Ben. Don't even really remember now what it was. Oh, it was eHome versus Vici, I want to say? I don't know. eHome ended up getting crushed both games by whoever they played, and that's when everyone was nervous that eHome wasn't looking that good, because in the group stage they did not do so good. They made a hell of a comeback, though. I'll give them that. Alright, where are we? Casting setup. I cast my games, and I get my one panel appearance. I get to go on the panel, and I find out I'm going to be on the panel opening of day number 2, and it's going to be Newbie Young versus Secret. So, first I'm like, bummer. Obviously, this game is more likely going to be a 2-0 in favor of Secret, which means my panel appearance is going to be limited a bit. But whatever, it's fine. I get to hype up a Secret game, and that turned out to be a fun time because Newbie Young actually put up a hell of a fight, and it was awesome. And I was real happy before I went up to go on stage. Before I went to go up on the panel, I found Mally, who, you know, I consider, you know, he's very informed in the Chinese Dota scene, and I wondered if he had any tidbits about Newbie Young. He didn't know too much, but he definitely helped me out. And that was some of the information I got. I got to provide some insight for Newbie Young, a team that most people didn't even know any of them at all. And, you know, looked into, I believe, you know, Lee, who used to play, he was an experienced Dota 1 player. He was even coach for LGD, I want to say, and has had close ties with LGD and Zhao Wei. And it was neat to bring up that fun little tidbit there. And you're looking at other people on the panel, and they don't even know who Newbie Young is. They can't even name all the players. And I'm not going to lie, coming into the major, I couldn't name all the players. But once I found out I was going to be either casting Newbie Young or doing something with Newbie Young, I wanted to make sure I knew what I was talking about. So I went there and I found out, okay, how am I going to say SCCCC when it's simpler just to look and his name is actually Song. So he's now Song to me. So I wanted to make sure I knew something about each of the player, their drafts, how they like to draft, and have an idea because we're going to be doing the panel for the draft. So I want to see if I can read out the draft a bit. And I don't want to say lucky because I felt like I, you know, was pretty accurate on this. They're a crafty team that will need to do something, sometimes pull something out of the box if they want to get a win. And against a team like Secret, maybe you have to do that. And I said that twice at least, and I'm like, they might go with like a 5th pick Huskar. And this was before Huskar was like really, all games were Huskar. You know, it was early group stage. And I'm like, this is one of the teams that would do it. You know, them, Mineski, Unknown, they were the Huskar teams coming into this one. And they might do it. And they actually pulled out the 5th pick Huskar. And it was nice. It felt good. Ben also knew some stuff, but, you know, I don't know. I guess it's just like I want to make sure I know what I'm talking about, so I did the bit of research. For other people, they are blessed with good insight and don't need to do much research and can just go in there cast or go in there and be on the panel and just know it. So for me, I have to work a bit harder, so I wanted to have my bit of extra insight, and I want to be able to bring something fun. But, you know, it's also a stream that the theme is more banter heavy. They want it very bantery. People love banter and banter, which, hey, don't get me wrong, I love to banter too. First thing I go on there, I get nice 2 quick digs on Melk, and I feel good. So I'm there, I can hang and throw with some banter around, whatever. Do have to say, though, that I'm starting to grow a bit about the whole suit thing. Now it's like we wear 3-piece suits for Dota 2 games. So, I don't know. I don't know about the suits, to be honest. Oh, Pagan Roberts, thank you so much for your resub 8 months in a row. But I'll give you some more chat loving at the conclusion of this vlog. I don't know. I understand we want to look professional. For some people, they're saying you got to put Dota out there, and you know, for them to take Dota seriously, we need to be more professional, and we need to wear tuxedos or something. When in reality, it's the demographic we are pushing this towards, or that is obviously going to be invested into it, is a Dota 2 crowd, and they're not wearing suits to Dota games and events, and it's a computer game. And I got to talk a bit about this with Pyrion and LD, and Pyrion was actually, and LD were probably the ones to bring it up initially, but they're right, you know, and I agree. I understand you want to look good, so I just think we need to meet more in the middle. I don't know if we need to do 3-piece tuxedo suits, but at the end of the day, it's Dota. So, I don't know. I think we can, and now we're encouraging banter. So it's like, oh, you want me to banter in my 3-piece suit or whatever. I had suits. I had to bring 3 suits for the event with a couple different shirts, but I had to be dressed up all the fucking time. At least once a day I was going to be seen either on camera or something, so I always needed to have a suit or some nice look to go. And you still get comments from people like, yeah, get your suit tailored. And it's like, yeah, I know I lost a lot of weight from that suit. And, you know, oh, straighten up your tie or stuff like that. And you're like, come on, guys, relax, all right? Relax. We're doing Dota here, all right? Anyways, that's just my 2 cents. And by the way, guys, if I have an opinion on anything, it's my own individual opinion. Nothing I say represents BTS, blah, blah, blah. Anyways, we're there rocking out suits. Anyways, so working the panel. The other like little bit I want to just like say, also maybe for any of my talent friends out there or anyone who's looking to get in, maybe it's just for me, but like, I would just be careful about venting out or trying to say like you want to get like shift switched around, or you don't want to do something and you want to see if someone's going to take your cast or your panel appearance or something, because there's always going to be someone around who would love to do what you're doing or love to be there. And, you know, I might be guilty of this sometimes. I'm hanging out with good friends who are still trying to, you know, get a lot more, and if I say something about, you know, what I'm doing, you honestly feel bad at the end. But, you know, you're there and people are like, oh, I don't feel like doing this on the panel, I don't feel like doing that, or oh, you want to take this, or I don't want to do this, would you like to take my shift? And they're trading amongst friends, and you just kind of sit there and you're like, man, I would love to go back on the panel, or I would love to go into a cast. And I know that that's not what I was hired to do, but I just encourage that you watch what you're saying and in front of who. And like I said, I can be guilty of this sometimes. And even now, if I was to say anything about how much I was doing or how little I was doing, I know that there's people who want to do more. But I guess at the end of the day, you need to use that as motivation to work harder so that you can get a lot more. So, I don't know. Just my own little 2 cents about that. Because sometimes I would feel a bit irked to hear about people who didn't want to do a panel or a cast, and I'm not going to name any names. And I know that I would love to do another cast or do a panel. Some people were eager to take the opportunity, and it's good for them. Okay. And, you know, as I said before, some people can get away with not having to do a whole lot. You know, they're gifted with Dota knowledge and insight, and they can play other games and fiend, look at Twitter, look at Reddit, you know, mid-draft, mid-cast or whatever, and still be able to bring the guru knowledge of Dota. So that's great for them. But, you know, just don't do it while working. I suggest. Don't do it while working. All right, let's find another game to watch here. Just kind of, you know, jump into. I got Bleak here. My boy Scott playing a game. Let's say hi to Scott and let him entertain you. Okay. Okay. So more about, I guess, what I did at the main stage. I was obviously a stage host, and I ended up just doing interviews, post-game interviews. I was awesome. I got to be able to be up on stage in front of everyone, right in center stage. I got to talk with players. Real cool. I guess the downside of being a stage host, in my opinion, is that I don't really have a reason to study. Yeah, you can say, oh, if you study and you push, like, you'll be that much of a better host. But I mean, let's be honest. I don't need to know drafts or picks or trends or win rates when all I have to do is go up there and ask 3 questions. And for some events and some opportunities, some of these questions may be pre-scripted or tailored to happen a certain way. And, you know, you don't have a lot of creative control on what you want to do, and you're going up there and you're just being a face and you're asking questions, and, you know, you get that feeling that maybe you're not investing a lot or really adding a lot too much, and you would love to just be doing more. So, got to go up there and ask questions. And obviously, some Dota players can be, you know, a bit shy and not prefer to talk. But listen, I'm there to do a job as well. I sometimes even had to wrangle my own talent, wrangle my own player, and, you know, I'm not trying to make things awkward. I'm looking for a post-game interview. Your fans want to hear you. The people live in the house want to hear you. They want to know how you felt about the game, how you're driven to do more. They want to hear something, you know? So let's do it. And I try to be fair. I try to get one of each player. You know, I try to change it up. Some teams, no one but one person feels comfortable talking. Some teams, it's a solid 2 people. The other 3 are not very comfortable. I'm trying to be respectful. I'm not going to push anyone. You know, if I go to someone or they get approached and they say, I don't really feel comfortable, no problem. I'll move on, next guy. You know, and you get people who are like, stop interviewing the same person. And I'm like, listen, there are not much options out there for some teams, all right? It's very difficult. And obviously for all the Eastern teams, I don't speak the language. So we got Jack. Shoutouts to Jack. That guy is awesome. He is a great translator, a very cool dude, and he was amazing to work with. I got to work with him well at ESL 1 New York, so he's a great guy. And that's obviously a bit of an awkward thing. You have to do the whole translation thing. I had to pre-prep him with the questions ahead of time, so it makes the process a lot easier. And really, those teams seem to be the toughest cookies to crack. Those guys did not want to talk. Whew. But we tried. I try to make it interesting. I'm not, you know, about asking how you feel every time. I know I asked it like maybe 3-4 times out of the 12 times I was up there. But, you know, I try to make it interesting a bit. Ask Lanham if he'd rather be a dad than a dad for the players, you know. Does his sweater start to smell? You know, something so I can get the players to crack a smile a bit and just have a good time. You know, I'm not looking to drill them too much about Dota. I know in their mind they just emotionally invested through a series. And, you know, they might not have everything to say. For some people, though, it was a great interviewing process. All right, did Bleak lose? Yeah, Bleak lost. Condolences, brother. For some people, they were happy to talk. They have already been encouraged by their manager, or they just are naturally open people, and they made it very easy. Shouts to some of the people who were very awesome to interview and very open. By far, Tal was great. When I asked Tal, he said, let's do it, and he came down, and he was great. He had great answers and stuff like that. Most of OG was very cool to work with, and I got to be around them the most. At the end there, that was the 7th time I interviewed Team OG. They won the most on the main stage, so it was cool. And I got to go through almost all of them. Obviously, Miracle is more of a softer guy, or a soft-spoken guy. And I got one question with them there at the very end, so I was happy about that. and a lot of others, even Arteezy at the start, was great. Oh, but the start, yeah, that's when the audio trouble came in. Now, I don't ask for much, but I would love it if the audio just kind of worked a bit better. This is the fall major. They had the ESL crew. They had this huge TV crew, TV production crew. They had a full production truck. Brian K. Poptosis was stuck in it forever. Shouts to him. He did so much work for the event that went unseen. He was supposed to be just a stats guy, but he ended up doing a lot more than that. So he was a man who put a lot of hats on. But he's working from this big production truck. They got these crazy cameras flying around, that are like $30,000 rigs that are just flying through the skies and giving all these crazy shots for people to use. Really cool stuff. Cameramen running around, this is production. But for some reason, sometimes the audio just would not switch over. It would switch over for the stream, but it would not switch over for the arena sound. And there's no reason to keep going when no one in the arena can even hear you. So I will frequently start and then stop because it's not happening and wait. Is it going? Ladies and gentlemen. Oh, thanks, Paul. Thanks. Oh, thanks, Paul. This happened like 2 times, 3 times. I'm like, thanks, Paul. Okay, no one heard that. Waiting for it. Thanks. Thanks, Paul. And it's like, then what happens is the most people who are watching are the people at home watching. They see the stream where the audio works and they hear me sound like I'm having a stroke or something. Like, thanks, Paul. You're talking a lot. And next thing you know, you're a fucking meme or whatever. And it's like, God damn it. So it's a bit embarrassing and you feel bad. And it's like, these are one of the few opportunities I get to have on stage. And for that one in particular, it was the first time. It was my first interview and the mic didn't work. And you're sitting there awkward and they have to cut. And you're with Arteezy and it cuts back to the panel and then it cuts back to you, and then when it comes back to you it's like blasting out loud. It like kind of irks the player a bit, it irks you a bit, and everyone is like making fun of you and like making a joke out of it. Probably more laughing with you obviously, but it's like, this was my first stage appearance at the major. It's like, come on, man, do I really have to be turned into like some sort of like, oh, thanks Paul thing the whole time? It's like, bummer, man. Whatever, played through it, went on, and then everyone was like giving me a shit time about it, so it's like, it's whatever. But hey, like I said, Arteezy was great. He gave a great interview. I was very happy about it, and whatever. Audio trouble though was like, I was like, really? Like, is it that difficult to just have it happened the first time, it happened somewhere in the middle, and then it happened at the very end, the last time too, and that one irked me the most. I can fast forward a bit for that one, I suppose, but it's just like another time where it's kind of hard to hear on stage as it is. You have someone in your ear and they're giving you the cue to go, and I had the stage manager next to me. Shouts to that stage manager also. That guy was awesome. I feel bad I didn't get his name, but he always helped me out. He got my battery pack in all the time. He always brought me my microphone to go. He was a cheery guy. Most of the ESL staff and all those people were very cheery, happy guys. I said good morning when I could. Very awesome. And the makeup people, they're all really awesome people. But huge production crew. Just want the mic to turn on in the fucking arena when I go. So I'm sitting there like, ladies and gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, and it comes on, then I can go. And of course on stream where there's 200,000 people watching, they all hear you sound like an idiot. So it's whatever. Kind of sucks because that's like, your big moment, and again, you're memed. It's like, God damn it. And I tend to have a really bad history of stuff like that happening to me. I'm sure for a lot of people who've been supporters of mine for a while and have been watching all these events, you've seen it. MLG, awkward camera kind of at times, awkward audio at times. Didn't really have much of an audience there to get hype, so you're doing the best that you can with the situation and with people who are there. And then Nanyang, which was just ridiculous, with the audios and the trying to change scenes and go to the draft, please go to the draft. You're trying to make a joke out of it and you're trying to, be comical about it and have your banter or whatever. But at a point, and we all eventually it gets to a point where we're all just laughing about it. But, on the inside also, you're like, this is one of my few opportunities to be the panel host, and I can't even just get a smooth transition anytime to do anything, And that's when you really are at your toughest, when there's the delays and the problems. And, there was a moment even at Nanyang when I looked over and you have Lumi and Shiver who are both very hyped up about doing a long pre-show or pre-game. And I'm like, okay, well, I'll let you guys know right now we're getting started. No, the draft, there's not even 10 players in the lobby. this is going to be a long pregame, and we're talking for like a half hour and stuff. This happens to a bunch of people. This happens to people like Red Eye all the time and stuff, and that's when it's at the hardest. So it's just like these audio and weird troubles seem to just be kind of plaguing everything I want to do, and it kind of sucks because, you know, you're just hoping that it was just going to be a smooth process, and there'll always be flubs, but anyways, where are we moving on? By the way, just a side note, Red Eye is a great guy. I didn't think too much of him or get to hang out with him too much at TI. Occasional little highs and buys kind of a thing, but I really got to know the guy a bit more at this event, and he's obviously very experienced. He's very professional. He does his homework. He wrote his scripts. He was always on time. He's always eager to kind of also encourage that things get done on time, and he's just a real professional. So I walk away from this event having more respect for Red Eye. He's a nice guy, very good guy, and I'm very happy for him. And, you know, he had to experience these personal technical flubs. And, you know, I admire that he was still able to push forward and make it happen. There were a lot of changes to the event. And I know for a lot of people from their perspective or your perspective, or the people watching from home felt like the event was perfection, and even a thread was created like, oh, perfect ran event. And there was a lot of things that happened, very, very, you know, great things that happened for the most part. No real serious audio troubles, no DDoSing, no huge delays. Things were on the most part on schedule, great production value, and yeah, I would definitely put it at the top events of all time. But there's stuff that also has been happening, you know, off camera, and you know, isn't quite as perfection. So there's always room to improve. There's always room to make things better. And we know people like Nahaz came in later. I feel bad for the poor guy. You know, Nahaz always brings a very high level of hype on the panel, and if people don't always match that level, he always gets looked at in kind of a weird way. And he has that, you know, some people just, like, a lot of people throw a lot of hate his way, but there's also a lot of people who love him too. I'm one of the people who love him, man. He brings a lot of interesting intel to a panel that you're not going to get from anyone else in the scene right now, and he clearly has a passion for the game. You can just hear it when he watches it. Like, if you just watch the game with Nahaz, he's like yelling and freaking out. Like, he loves it, and I admire people who just love the game that much, because there could always be more of them. There are people right now who don't love the game as much, and you can't help but question if they love the game still, and it's a shame. And then he comes, and his voice goes out, and I understand they need to get him off the panel. They probably took a bit long about that. But he ended up getting sick, and he can't even go on for the time after. And he came late, and he was only there so many times, and even at the end, he got, you know, removed from his last panel. So the poor guy came out and only had that brief appearance to travel to Frankfurt and just to get sick and stuff. But I'm sure he enjoyed his experience overall, and if you want to ask him about it, I'm sure he'd be more than happy to talk to you about it. Great guy. Dota games were amazing at the event. They were great. Had a great time. I enjoyed them a lot. It was interesting. I watched a lot of the games from the back room where I had to get set up. I wanted to watch all the games. I watched all the games, you know, because sometimes my questions were inspired from some of the games. So the best spot I found for me personally was also hanging out a lot in the backstage area where I would pick up my audio equipment to go up on stage. They had a nice chair or, you know, and a TV to watch it on. Sometimes I'd go out in the arena and watch it. Just, of course, I wanted to be a part of the atmosphere and part of the hype. But I usually found myself more often watching in the back in a comfortable seating position, eating maybe the food from in between games, and enjoyed the games there. Enjoyed a lot of the OG games, and it was just great. Like, every time OG played on the main stage, like Evany, their manager, was backstage watching as well, and she's very nervous. She's almost like a mother to this team, and she does so much for them, and I'm sure they're very happy and very lucky to have her. And of course, Tal's a very lucky man, and she cares a lot about him, and she's like a nervous wreck watching these games backstage, and I'm always just kind of there already, so I'm watching the games with her, and I'm rooting for her and her team and stuff, and they always were winning, and they were winning, and it turned to a point where I had to be sitting in that chair for each and every OG game just to see if they would succeed, and they always would. And even in their matchup against EG, which that one was a hard one because I was following OG all along the way, but I also love EG, so I wanted to start watching that from the audience. I watched game one from the audience, and OG got crushed. OG got crushed game number 1. So game number 2, I went to the backstage and watched it with Ebony, and they won that game, and then they won game 3. And that was crazy. I like EG a lot, and I like OG a lot too. So that was a bittersweet series. And then they moved on, and I watched most of the games from the backstage with everyone. There was like a big hurdle in the backstage grand final. We were all watching it, and OG won, and I'm still very surreal. It's still very surreal that they actually won. I don't know why. It's just so crazy. I'm very, very happy for them. They're great guys. They're super nice, super cool. I look forward to seeing them at the summit. So I'm very happy for them. And their journey doesn't stop now. They have to go to DreamHack and to the defense and then to the summit. So you guys are going to be seeing lots of OG for sure. And that's cool. And I hope to see EG bounce back. I hope to see Secret bounce back. I'm sure they will. So the Dota was good. Dota was good. I'm trying to think if there's anything else before I get to some small Q&A here. But again, shout outs to the staff. The ESL people were really nice for the most part. The makeup ladies, the camera dudes, my stage manager, Tom, wrangled a lot of the talent who, ran around a lot, did a lot of favors for a lot of people, fetched water, fetched drinks. Tom was a great guy. Shannon, who helped hospitality, I'm sure had a say in the transfer from going from Novo shit to Share shit. And she's the hospitality lady for Valve, and she's very, very helpful. All the talent was great to work with, man. I felt like they were great at what they did. They did a great job. I gave already particular shout outs earlier. And I look forward to future events. I don't know anything about the next major in China. I only know the announcement that you guys saw about it. I don't even know if they would even need a stage host for China because it's in China. But who knows? It's a long ways away. We'll just have to see how it goes. So that was my shitty attempt at a vlog. And we'll see if I'll do more of them. I am happy to answer any questions in the chat at this point. I don't expect many of them. But I will try my best to answer what I can with whatever I can. Is Frankfurt misspelled? Oh, you gotta be kidding me. Did I misspell Frankfurt on my title? Let's see. I don't know. Hey, Mopax, what's up, man? Karo Guy, thoughts on Vici changing draft to the fly? I actually just read about that. I don't think people are giving Super enough credit for his drafting. Like Godzo had already pointed out before, this Vici gaming drafter got Vici all the way to the grand final at Nanyang and took Secret to 5 games. And they had a lot of success, but they are going with FY. I could have sworn FY has drafted before. Didn't he draft at like one of the previous summits for sure? I don't know. But I hope for the best for him. It's a nice team as well. And I don't know. The going rumor, the going like feeling right now for some of these China teams is that their heart is just not in it right now. For some of these guys, you got to understand, they go back home and they make 7 digits streaming on those Chinese streaming platforms. So you can't help but question if they're really into the game still or not. And to be blunt, it looks like it when in their play, It's like maybe they just got a nice contract with this team and they're making a shit ton of money and, they're walking with fancy shoes on right now and they know that when they can go home, they'll just stream and make $500,000, $1 million streaming. So who knows if they have to really put so much into the game anymore. But for a lot of players on Vici Gaming, they do still want to play and they still want to do a lot of work. So we'll see if it's a positive move for them. Oh, on your screen? Oh, it is misspelled on my screen. I want the whole vlog with Frankfurt misspelled on my screen. Can you believe it? I accidentally hit F twice. Frank Forfeitfurt. Hilarious. Alright, close that. Hey Galco, what's up, man? Do you think Toby deserves to be a final caster? I don't. Alright, Mike Rib. I think Toby's a great guy. He's still a great caster. I don't know who decides that, who does what as far as scheduling. It's something decided between just some of those people and ESL heads. they're gonna, do it from an ESL perspective. So they're going to pick out who they want as the grind final caster. They have a picture of the show they want. They have a picture of the painting they want to paint, and they're gonna build it their way. So I think Toby can still cast. I think he's still a great hype caster. Old Man Mac, Coddle Guy, when you think about having a long career in the future, do you feel you should put more time into getting better as a caster or host? It's a pretty good question. Not going to lie, now that it's been a couple events and I don't seem to be identified as a caster, I can't help but kind of think a bit about what I want to do as a caster here on forward. You're curious if you're kind of doing things the right way, if you want to change things up a bit, if you want to kind of be more laxed. It's obvious that for a lot of events they just think of me as more of a host kind of position thing. So you kind of are curious what you want to do with your casting. So I'm always going to be looking to improve. The main thing for me personally is I always still want to have my research. I still want to, make sure I'm saying the right things. I was looking around to see if I had my notebook anywhere because I still take my notes when necessary. So that's all very important, but as far as how I'm going to be going about it, or if things are going to be lax or more uptight, or what kind of drive I'm going to have, I don't know. We'll see. Why does the panel always shit on Malk? I don't know. He's like considered, that's just the theme that they wanted. They wanted to do more banter, and I guess they found Malk to be an easy punching bag. Malk gets a lot of shit coming to these events because he doesn't work any events unless it's an ESL event or a Valve event, and that's just the fact of it. So I still think he brings a lot of valid insight, but at the same time, I feel like someone like Winter should be at the event. I know Winter is amazing at what he does, but as I said not long ago, this is a ESL/Valve or whatever talent, hiring group, so they're going to do things and paint their own picture, and for this time, Winter wasn't in that picture at the LAN. I'm scrolling up, catching up, everyone. Yes, FY has drafted after TI4. Okay, that's what I figured. When you think about... I already answered that question. Do you think Toby... Yeah, well, I'm going backwards in time. Do you think the Winter Major should keep the same talent or use it as a chance to qualify talent for TI? I would think that they will change up the talent a bit. It could depend on who's doing it. It's put on by Perfect World, so... But I also have heard that Perfect World is not directly linked with any sort of broadcasting studio. So I'm curious on what they're going to do for English talent. They could give that responsibility to a close partner or someone they've worked with before, and then they will have a say on the English talent hire, and maybe Valve won't have as much of a say. I don't know. So my initial impression for the next major is expect a talent change-up. I don't know how different it will be, but I expect that there could be some tweaking, and there might even be less people, because as I already said, like for one example is they might not even need a stage host for China because it's an event in China, so they could be going with less people. I don't know how many obs they see in their painting, so I don't know if they're going to put as much investment into it to think that it's an opportunity to try out people for TI. I'm sure if whoever goes, if they do a great job, that they'll probably be a part of TI, I suppose. How was the mood with the C9 squad before, after Ritsu being kicked? The C9 squad, I didn't really get to interact with them too much, aside from MSS and a little bit of Teben when I had to interview them. But it seems like they came, they played their games, and then the Ritsu thing dropped, and that was like the same time, of course, when they were done in the tournament, and they left. I know like SVG and Ritsu and I want to say Brax all left, and MSS hung around. I think MSS was the only one who hung around, actually, so I didn't get to see much of the post Ritsu stuff. This is the most amazing diplomatic way to say no. I don't know. When is Summit? We get a Tumblr interview again. Summit is what? December 9th? The second week of December. Sorry if I don't know exact dates. I I can't guarantee there'll be a tub interview or not, but I can tell you the new house, the tub is much nicer. The tub at the new house is so big, we could do a bathtub panel or a bathtub cast. That's dangerous with the electronics, but I'm just saying the tub is that big that it could be done. It's a big tub. Who would win in a caster brawl, Join Dota or BTS? First thing I think of is that Join Dota has Hani, I guess technically, so he's scary. You'll always be a caster in my mind. Thank you, Titus. Casting is my favorite. When are you gonna cast 82L again? I don't know. If I wasn't casting anything, I had nothing coming up, and I wanted to shake off the rust or get warmed up with the cast, and there happened to be an 82L game there, I would cast it. Don't quit casting. I don't plan on quitting casting. I just think that I should maybe change things up. You know what I did enjoy casting? I really enjoyed casting with Fogged when we were doing a little bit of Star Ladder and a little bit of the Summit Qualifier. When he came, I really loved that casting a lot, and I'm super happy that there will be more of it in the future. So, enjoyed my casting with Fogged. We'll see. We'll revisit that. I like your high energy in the cast and hosting. Hope you get more lax. Okay. Thank you so much. Do you feel for EG's mood after they lost? Seemed like they were really pissed. I mean, everyone's going to get a bit emotional after they lose a game. You know, you're investing a lot of your training and time into this. It's the big stage. People are going to be expecting a lot from you, your fans, your families, your close ones, and of course you're going to be emo. But by the after party, they were kind of hanging out, having a good time. They're always going to be kind of replaying those games in their mind, looking over again, seeing what could and could not have been done. But, you know, in the end, I think EG still put on a fucking hell of a show. You know, after winning TI and doing a roster change, they got, like, knocked out immediately of ESL1 New York, and then they got to the grand final of MLG, and then they got to top 3 in Major. So I don't think they should be too ashamed, but I know those guys. They're going to want more, and I'm always going to be a fan of EG. You can help his English, but Winter absolutely one of the most knowledgeable talents out there. I cannot agree more. And I know that he's got, you know, English is not his first language, but he's definitely getting a lot better. And the big thing for Winter is when he's comfortable on a panel or comfortable in a cast with someone, he does really well. Really, really well. And I think that's only going to be getting better and better. You got to remember he's only done like 3 lands, something like that. Not that many. So I think Winter is just going to get better and better, and he continues to just know the game so well. It's damn crazy. He's got some seriously fresh insight. Do the event organizers contact BTS, etc., and say who they want to come, or do they contact BTS? It depends on the event. K's none. For big-time Valve events, it's usually contact more personally, and then for, like, Star Ladders or something like that, they usually have negotiations with studios and they're responsible for the talent hire. So Pit Lord coming out next patch, I have no idea. All I heard is what like other people have been hearing is the patch is probably going to be a little bit of time. I would assume that the summit will still be on 6.85, but maybe shortly after, hopefully a patch. Prediction for 6.86. God, I hope Earth Spirit's in it. I hope, you know, I'm the one of only people who actually hopes Earth Spirit's in it. I want Earth Spirit to be in it because I figure it's just fucking, it's long enough. He's been not in captain's mode for 2 years, all right? Everybody hates the hero. Nobody plays him, though. No pros play him. There's a couple of, obviously. Like, you know, you got your Jerixes here, and occasionally, like, a Fluff will play him. But it's like, just force everyone to play him and learn him, and then we can actually see on a professional level what is wrong with him. And then they could just pull them out or make the quick adjustment. But I figure you should just do it after a huge event to give more time to prep for the next big one. But this is just my biased opinion for Earth Spirit. I mean, he could come in with a change or two. I look at heroes who are just as ridiculous that are already in the game. Tusk, I think, is a ridiculously good hero. Wyvern is really, really good support. Earth Spirit, yeah, he could be ridiculous, but he also requires a bit of a skill cap. So I figure just why not. I also really laugh when American players complain about him because no one in America plays Earth Spirit at a high level, pretty much, except for like Physics Math Man or something. But outside of that, you're not going to see very many high skill Earth Spirit players. Call guys a caster. Thank you so much, Snake. Do you think majors are making smaller events like Summit impossible to run in the future? I have no idea. I don't think many people know what's coming after the China Major or who's going to be running them. I don't have much information. What did you and OG think of the crowd storming the stage? Well, that was not scripted, I'll tell you that. I was up there doing what I was told. I wish, again, like I was saying in the past, like I had a bit more creative room, but let's just say like I had questions that were to influence a special outcome, because you know that in other TI big events, when teams finished, maybe there was a lack of emotion. So we were encouraging more emotion. Wasn't fake. OG genuinely were super happy, but we wanted to make sure that instead of like, how, not any just like bullshit about it, and then you're like, whatever, how does it feel? And then they're like, you want to make sure they kind of get an idea that, you should be respectful to your opponent and, stuff like that. So it ended up working out well. And, I even got to get a quick, question into Miracle. But then you're hearing a bunch of crazy noise and the crowd is getting louder and the stage is shaking and you're like, what the hell's going on? And people are storming the stage. The poor players are looking at me like, what's going on? Fly even like says, is this scripted? And I'm like, dude, I don't know. But they're starting to move. The trophy's getting ready to fall off the stand. They're touching it, and I just grab that trophy, and I just shove it to Fly, the biggest guy right there, and I'm like, here you go, buddy. And I just got off the stage. And it was every man for himself at that point. But it actually ended up looking pretty damn awesome from what I hear. Again, just a bit miffed about the microphone at the start, but whatever. Clarified that 14th name is not pronounced Theban, but Theban. All right, well, I've heard that 30,000 times. You hear players call Theban. It could be a joke. It could not be. The fact of the matter is I say it, he responds, and it's whatever. So if he doesn't like being called a name a certain way, I would hope that 1437 would come to me or tell me in some sort of way, as most players should. I would feel bad if I kept saying their name incorrectly over and over and over again, and I could hear it 14 different ways from random people who may not even know them personally. It would just be better if they came to me and told me, hey, it's not no one, it's noon or something. Just tell me. I don't want to say it wrong. What are you going to vote for in the redemption vote? I can't really answer that question. I'm not going to say where the house is. I'm sorry. Is Merlini a millionaire? I don't think so. What's the funniest thing you have seen, like, fail-wise casting? I don't know. That's a hard one to think of right now. Will Slacks be casting at the Summit for? I don't know. I'm not in charge of the talent hire for Summit. I know that there's something set up, but I don't think I am one to say. I already answered the Storm stage. Drink before going up and doing these post-game interviews. Don't lie. No, I never drinked. I never did anything before I did my job. I saved that stuff for the party afterward. Monster Ribble, thank you so much for your 15-month resub. All right, sorry guys, I'm just quickly flying through this here to answer any important questions at all. Do you think it's the most balanced patch so far? Yondi, I am super happy with the patch right now. I think we've been seeing actually a good variety of heroes. There can always be some tweaks and changes, but I definitely consider this patch better than a lot of the terrible ones in the past. Or, I don't know if I'd go as far as say terrible, but this one's better. Can you explain what BTS is in general? How does that thing work? I mean, how do you guys make money? Oh, come on, dude. I'm not answering that question. Jesus. This question may sound a little weird, but how much the panel and how much does everyone get paid? I'm not going to say that stuff. Do you think it seems to have enough time before the roster lockout? I'm not too sure, man. I don't know much about the teams internally to know how much time they feel comfortable rotating around rosters and being prepped up and ready, and practiced. Sorry, I'm like way behind the chat apparently, so I am slowly scrolling through to catch up here. I'm going to do another like couple, and then I'm going to wrap up my first vlog here. I like casting with Mott, but I don't know. Maybe one day in the future. Did you catch the Smash Summit at all, Hipster Grandpa? I went there one day, saw the house, got super excited about the Dota Summit, and then just kind of watched a bit. I watched a lot of the Smash Summit from home, but it was an awesome event, and hopefully this is going to be another one. How many Illuminati kills do you got? I don't know, dude. How were the secret guys at the after party? The ones I saw seemed pretty great. Everyone seemed pretty happy. Definitely saw Misery and We at some point and Puppy, and everyone seemed pretty good. I don't know how they were outside of that, but they seemed to take advantage of the party. Are you guys moving to the new house, or is it just like a studio event space? Probably the latter, if anything. More of an event space. It's a little late, but it was nice meeting you at MLG. Oh, thanks, Pigpen. It was nice meeting you too. And if you guys are at events and you see me, don't be afraid to come up and say hi. I try my best to make it out, but usually if I'm stuck doing like panel hosting or something like that, I'm on a very tight leash and I can't really go out very far. So you did a great job at Frankfurt Major. Keep up the work. Thank you so much, Wolf Soul. It means a lot. All right, guys, that looks to be about it. Thank you so much for coming by and hanging out. It was my first vlog. I'll kind of put it out there, see how the water feels a bit, and if it feels good, maybe I'll come back and do another one after the next event or later on in the future. So thanks so much for coming by and hanging out for my first vlog, and we'll see you next time.